My name is Mario Nappa, and I'm here with Frank Warnock, who's head of First State Bikes. And today we're going to talk about Salem Church Road. Specifically, we're going to talk about the section of Salem Church Road between Old Baltimore Pike and where it crosses Route 95. During this session, we'll loop the video of riding our bikes on Salem Church Road southbound from the Route 95 bridge to Old Baltimore Pike. So Frank, welcome. And I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask you. And feel free to add anything else that you'd like to at any time.
Thank you so much for working with First State Bikes and publishing this interview, Mario.
Okay, let's get started with the questioning. Number one, how long has this been a problem?
Oh gosh, for at least 40 years. Or ever since they made this section of Salem Church Road part of Delaware Bicycle Route 1, which goes from northern Delaware all the way to the most southern part of the state. The problem is that this north to south route is one of the few ways of getting from south to north and vice versa in the state of Delaware by bicycle. If you go to the east of Salem Church Road, you have to use Route 273, and then you have to deal with the on and off ramps for I-95. And if you go to the west, you have Route 72, which is 2 lanes in each direction, and there's no bike lane. If you go further west still, you're on Route 896 and there are no bike lanes, and you still have to deal with the I-95 on and off ramps. Then you go further east of 273 and you could go up Route 9, which leads to Delaware City, and then take Route 13 north, which isn't too bad, but that's all the way on the east side of the state. You really need to have a way to get from north to south in the middle of the state, or left of the middle of the state. We don't have that in the state of Delaware. Right now, Salem Church Road is the best option, and it's a very bad option.
Okay, number two, what is wrong with Salem Church Road as it is now?
Well, the problem with this section of road is there's a lot of traffic, and there's no shoulder for cyclists, and motorists routinely drive at 45 to 50 miles per hour despite a 35 mile per hour speed limit. So it's very dangerous to negotiate this short section of Salem Church Road. In some places, there's about 1 foot of paved surface from the right line on the roadway to the dirt. So all the state needs to do is to add maybe another 2 feet and possibly even shrink the lane down 6 to 12 inches. And then you would have about a 3 to 4 foot lane for cyclists. 3 feet would be enough and 4 feet would be optimal. This really needs to be done. It is absolutely needed to allow for cyclists to travel from north to south and vice versa in the state of Delaware.
Okay, Frank, number three, are there any issues with widening the road at this point that you know of?
We don't believe there are any issues with widening the road. There's plenty of space on the east and west side. The telephone poles are about 4 feet off the road on the east side, so we know that there's right-of-way in that area. And we believe this can easily be done with not a lot of expense. The safety that you would give to cyclists would be immense. The margin of safety would be well worth it, the expense of adding a little bit of pavement on each side of the road.
Okay, so why hasn't this been done already?
We're not sure. It's possible that there is not enough support or not enough push from the cycling community. It's also possible that the legislators didn't think it was necessary, and that's the reason for doing this video, to bring it to the attention of the right people, and so that we can garner support from the cycling community and legislators to get this done. You have the Castle Trail in southern Delaware that a lot of people would like to ride to and be able to traverse the state east to west on that trail. But there's no easy way to get to the trail from the north in the middle of the state, and this would give you that. We go down to Old Baltimore Pike and into Salem Woods, and you exit onto the extension of Salem Church Road heading south past Beck's Pond. And there's a number of different ways at that point that you can meander on down to the canal safely on roads that are good for cyclists. The problem is that you can't get to Old Baltimore Pike easily from the north in the central part of the state.
So Frank, how safe is it now?
Clearly, it is not safe enough. Last year, there was a cyclist fatality on this section of road that did not get a lot of attention in the cycling community. On February 18th, in the evening and after sundown, the 2008 Chevy Malibu was traveling southbound on Salem Church Road south of Adele Drive. At this time, a male cyclist was pedaling his bicycle in the middle of the southbound lane on Salem Church Road because he did not have his own space. As the vehicle approached the bicyclist from the rear, the driver attempted to maneuver around the bicyclist to pass him from the northbound lane. As the vehicle initiated the lane change, the bicyclist also veered to the left, presumably to get away from the car since there was no shoulder on the right, which resulted in the right front of the vehicle striking the bicyclist and ejecting its operator into the northbound lane. After the collision, the operator of the vehicle lost control of his vehicle and traveled off the roadway and struck a road sign. The vehicle then continued out of control into the roadway and traveled across both the north and southbound lanes before striking a tree in its final resting place. The bicyclist was transported to Christiana Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased. Had the bicyclist had some safe space on the right and southbound lane, he most likely would be alive today. I don't know what it's going to take to make this an important issue. How many more lives have to be lost?
So Frank, what are the next steps?
The next steps would be to contact your state legislators, Dave Sokola. Dave would be a good one to start with, and those in your particular area as well. We will give you a website where you can find out who your state representative is and if you can contact them by email or by phone. Most of the legislators have staff that will address any concerns or any emails that they receive regarding an issue of concern to residents. So if you are a cyclist, please contact your state representative and ask this to be done. This is not only a good project for cyclists, but it is also a good one for motorists to have this done because it gives them safer space to negotiate this area of road. They wouldn't have to worry about cyclists in the road and they can just ride peacefully up and down Salem Church Road because the cyclists have their own space. This is a win-win for cyclists and motorists. Thank you so much, Mario, again.
Frank, is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't covered in these questions?
No, that's it. This is just long overdue, and it's been advocated for since the time that Delaware Bicycle Council was founded. And this goes all the way back to the early 90s.
Yeah, whenever Bike Route 1 was laid out, this was the only way that the route went from north to south. Right? It's always been on Salem Church Road.
Right, and the wetlands were created. So, and the phone poles clearly delineate a wider right-of-way. Clearly, there's just there's no excuse for why this can't be done. And DelDOT needs to move it to priority in their project list. We're going to have to urge them to do that. We have to get on them to do that. Thank you so much again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank. And for those of you watching and listening to this video, please contact your state representatives. And we really need to get this done. I mean, the person who was, I left the name out of the person who was riding that bicycle. He would have been alive today had we had some lanes to ride our bikes on Bike Route 1. So thank you very much.